Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn! This is episode 24 on the road to 1000 beavers. In the last episode we set up our 5th district. As you can see, we have quite a few buildings that we created. We have all of our houses, we have a monument over here, we have a bunch of storage, and then we are starting to get some of their well-being points up. In today's episode we are going to continue to expand this district. One thing that I just thought of is I want to create a nice little green patch around here, which means that we're going to be utilizing dynamite and then also the tunneling system. But before we get into that, let's take a look at some of our other districts. In the background you can see Twigtop Ridge. Overall we actually have 53 beavers who are unemployed. We have 3 bots who are unemployed. And so let's start looking at some of the districts to make sure we have enough jobs for the beavers. District 5 does need some jobs, but we can focus on them in just a little bit. I am seeing some injured beavers here in Twigtop Ridge. We do have some medical beds, but it seems like they're all occupied, so we need to add a few more. Thankfully we do have some available space, and I suspect the reason we have so many injured beavers is because of this mine over here. We only have 3 beavers who do not have a job in this district, and we have a whopping 19 incapacitated beavers. It might be worth getting some bots sent over here and send them into this job. That way we don't have as many beavers who are getting injured. So we'll need to set up the migration tools, but we need to make sure that we have enough bots in the other districts. I know that in our main district we have 5, oh my gosh, we have more than that. We have 8 of these builders huts and they are all occupied by bots. And since we're not really working on a whole lot over here, we can pull from this district no problem. So let's take a look at the district migration tools. We'll want to go from Bavaria to Twigtop Ridge, and we have 115 bots in Bavaria. I think if we set that to 100 as the minimum, that should be plenty, since we have 32 bots that are in the builders huts and we can pull from there no problem. And then let's bump this up to 10, and this should start pulling from Bavaria, and it looks like it immediately did. We have 105 now in this district. Now we can switch the mine from beavers to bots. We do have quite a few unemployed beavers now, but that is totally fine. We can probably add some more jobs over here. We will need to get a refinery up and running since we only have 60 biofuel, and we're not actually storing any. Thankfully we have some storage available over here, or at least we have some space to get some storage set up. We can get a large vat, and then this will be set to biofuel. We'll also want to get some catalyst. I don't think we need to store quite as much in here as we're going to store biofuel. And then with all of this right here, we should probably connect in the path just around the corner. And they built some of this stuff very quickly. Looks like they're just now finishing this large tank, and so we'll need to get a couple of refineries. That way we can make both biofuel and catalyst. But we also need to make sure we have all the ingredients for the catalyst, maple syrup and extract. I'm not sure if we have both of those in here. Looks like we have, I'm not seeing either of those, which means we'll need to get some storage set up for those as well, and then maybe start looking into producing those resources as well. And as we expand our production area, I have some overhang set up. We'll probably end up at some more over here. That way they can make a large continuous platform. But for now, this should be plenty of space. And then we can add in a couple refineries. And then this will also allow us to connect in any buildings that require power onto the backside of these buildings. And then I believe biofuel made by potatoes is actually the most efficient. If we look in the science section, you can see that we get 30 biofuel from just 2 potatoes and then 2 water. Then carrots are the least efficient, where you only get 5 biofuel. So we can leave both of those there. The beavers will work on that as they can. And then we also need to make some storage for both maple syrup and for extract. Thankfully we have some space right over here, and we can get a couple more of these medium water tanks, but we won't set them to water. We'll set them to extract and maple syrup. And then we should also look at planting some maple trees. We have plenty of space over here. It's just a bit undulating since we have quite a big hill. And it might be worth maybe lowering some of this. Although I need to be careful, because if we go down a little bit, we can see that we do have some of these underground tunnels. And that is what's allowing us to irrigate all this area. But it looks like as long as we are staying outside of the tree area, then we should be totally fine. And we won't actually cause any flooding. And oh my goodness, we have so many trees over here. Looks like we do have plenty of maple. I don't know, did I add a tapper shack? Looks like we have one over here. But he is really close to the pine resin, so he's not really collecting any of this, it seems. We do have a path that goes through here. So let's get a tapper shack set up, and then we should probably get some gather flags over here for the chestnuts. And we are currently maxed out on wood, or just about, just over 3,000. I think we should add some more wood storage. We can fit some storage right behind here. All we need to do is lower this just a little bit. But we also need to make sure we have enough storage for both chestnuts and then also for the maple. And it looks like we have no maple syrup storage. So I'm going to add, let's see, we can add a small, or maybe we'll do a large water tank and then have that set to maple syrup. This seems like a good place to have our main maple syrup production. And at this point in the game, they can construct stuff very quickly. This is almost connected in. We just have to get this spiral staircase set up. But now we have added 2,000 wood storage to this district. And there's so many trees over here that they have not chopped down yet. We have plenty of workers. These are all set to bots. And then we have both of these fluid dumps set up. Those are irrigating this area. And then we're doing fantastic on pine resin. It looks like we're actually just about maxed out. And we are completely out of water over here. Do we have this turned off? We should probably set this to auto. There's going to be a lot of water that leaves here. So that might be why we've been doing so great on water over here. Because we've only had water flowing out into this section. We have had this area just completely cut off from the reservoir. But the drought is over. We are beginning cycle 30. And it looks like we're actually running pretty low on water over here. Thankfully the crops are doing alright. The water is low enough though that we don't have these swimming pools that are working, or the Lidos. And they've already filled up the earth recultivator for a second time. But I think the beavers of this district should be getting the benefit of it. Looks like about half of them are. But that's probably because the other half are hanging out over here. One thing we could look at doing is blocking this off and then having the water just go through here. Although, does it actually go around here? I'm not quite sure. Looks like there is a small channel. We might need to get rid of part of this, that way we can make it a little bit larger. So we can remove this, and then we can start blocking this off. We can set this to floodgates, that way if we actually do want to have water flow through here, we can just lower it. And then I think we'll need to do the same over here, because we still want water to be able to get over here to irrigate our crops. And the water level is actually kind of low right now. Thankfully, it looks like the crops are doing just fine since we have water underground. And at the end of day 1 of cycle 30, it looks like the water has made its way all the way around and then also partially bypassed this, but now it is going through here. So we're getting some more water to fill up this reservoir. I am going to keep an eye on this and see if this reservoir is able to handle both supplying water through here and then also keeping water in this area. We do have a free zip line over here. In fact, we actually have 2 connections that can go off of this one that could go over here. But if you want to get to the farm area from our main district center, looks like you currently have to go around here, transfer, and then across. I think it would be worth getting a more direct route over here, because we could connect into this one and then maybe add in another transfer station right around here. Looks like we have the space for it. We'll just need to remove a few crops and then add in that zipline station. We might be able to get away with just one of these zipline pylons, but I'm going to have to finesse it. We might have to raise it up a little bit because we'll be able to reach this one right over here. But as you can see, it's not actually connecting into this one. So right here it does work. We just need to add the connections in. We have enough distance so that we can get it connected in. This should help the beavers over here be a little bit more efficient in terms of getting to the crops. Ooh, and I just noticed why I think this might have drained. So we have this set to close above downstream depth of 0.5, but these we have set to 0.4. I was worried about flooding, but I think we need to raise these up a little bit. We could also lower this. We'll go down to 0.4. Since we don't really need water flowing through here constantly, we'd rather have it fill this area up and then go through here versus just basically draining this whole thing to go into here. Oh, it looks like we're missing extract in this district. I thought I set up some storage for it. We do have that set to 300, but we don't have any in this district. Let's check the distribution limits. We have it set to import if needed, which I think would be enough, but let's take a look at the main district of Bavaria, because they're the ones who are exporting it, and we have no extract in this district. We must be using a lot of it for something. And where... okay, so we have the centrifuge. We are producing it. We should have enough bad water. Let's prioritize this by haulers. We have enough power. There is plenty of wood in this district, but we're going through it fairly quickly. Looks like we have another one of these centrifuges that are paused. Let's unpause this. So now we have 2 centrifuges up and running. And then we have no maple syrup, but we are producing some maple syrup in the Beaverland Hills district. While we do have some space right here we can utilize. We do have a lot of potatoes. We can probably remove these ones from being potatoes and then give ourselves a little bit more wood area. And we can get a tapper shack set up as well. And so we're using our extract for something. I don't know off the top of my head what that is. I believe the detailer utilizes extract. Let's see, do we have some of those under here? Oh, we have them on top, it looks like. So all of these are utilizing extract. We have 4 of those. Do we have any that are lower? We don't have any under here. Oh, it's definitely the earth recultivator. So we used 1,000 extract in total. We did extract for the first batch. We launched everything and then we loaded this back up. That makes sense why we're running low now. Well, we have these 2, so that should be helpful. And then if we go back to Twigtop Ridge, we can set this refinery to catalyst, but they need extract. And so we can add in a centrifuge of our own over here. Unfortunately, this is a high chance of injury, so we should probably set this to bots as well. And then we can lower this on the priority list so we can pull bots from here because we're doing great on scrap metal. No, we're not. We have only 41 scrap metal in this district. We are maxed out on metal blocks. Are they exporting it? They must be exporting it. We have the threshold set to 0 for export. Let's bump that up to 20%. We can remove this to import if needed because we have so many logs. We can bump that up to 20% though. Make sure we have a little bit. But in the migration tool, we can increase how many bots we want here. We can bump that up to 15 because I have some other jobs I probably want to switch to bots. Some of these jobs that are more dangerous, like the explosives factory, let's have that high chance of injury job set to bots. Although we have no storage for explosives. Thankfully, we have some areas that we can expand our storage. We have some treated planks in this district. We have 76. We're definitely utilizing those for the scrap metal. And then we only have a little bit of pine resin. We're doing great on planks. But we need to make sure we have some pine resin storage as well. In fact, let's see all of the things in this district, how we're doing. We have some gear storage. We don't really have that much paper storage. None for books. And then no punch cards either. We don't really have that much food storage as well. And we actually have no bad water in this district. We don't have any storage for it. So we can add in some right over here. Perfect little spot for it. Although maybe we add in a larger storage area because we have 7,000 overall. And it seems like we go through bad water pretty quickly since we're utilizing that for the extract. I guess for now we can leave this as bad water. We can always switch this to something else. But they actually don't have any bad water collection in this district. Thankfully, we do have a river of bad water right over here. So if we add in some zip lines, and we have plenty of zip line stations right here, we can have them go over and then collect some of the bad water. But we need to make sure we have deep enough nozzle. And this only goes 2 down, so we'll need to make this pretty close to the surface. And then all we have to do is connect this in. Ooh, can we actually reach this? Okay, we are not too steep of an angle. That is good news. But we also need to make sure the beavers can actually get down here to construct all this. So we can add in a couple stairs, and then this will be up and running hopefully pretty soon. Let's check the chance of injury in this building. Looks like there's actually not a chance of injury in the bad water pump. So we can leave that to beavers because we have, I think, some unemployed beavers. Yeah, we have 23 beavers who need a job. We can add them to these bad water pumps, and then that'll get us some of the bad water collection. It would be nice to utilize this so we can get over here quickly. We'll probably need to add another one of the zipline pylons. This one does not quite reach because we also need to think about how it could connect into this one. If we overhang it this way, it looks like that does work, but they won't be able to reach this, so we'll need to get some stairs set up. One thing we could add in this district is a carousel. The Beavers' well-being is 41. It looks like we have plenty of power in this district still. Over 10,000, we only need 5,000, 4,500 in this district, or at least in this entire system, because this goes all the way back to our district of Beaverland Hills. We have plenty of space over here. I think it's worth adding in that second set of overhangs, and then we can get a few more well-being buildings set up. Carousel requires power, and that's actually all. We should get a mud pit up and running. We need wheat. Do we have wheat? I thought we had some. We do have some, but we're utilizing that for producing bread. Although we have 1,200 wheat, it looks like, in this district. Is that overall or in this district? We have 1.6 thousand. If we click on this, no, we only have 58 wheat in this district. We actually don't have any storage, but we can keep adding in some of these warehouses. We'll get 2 more set up on top, because this will not be the last time that we need to add some storage for one of the products that we have. We can set that to wheat, an additional 1,200 wheat. We have dirt stored over here and over here. We don't really need this pile. We could utilize this space for food production. I think we'll want to get some more wheat. And then we actually don't even need any of these paths, because we're not constructing anything over here. And so we can expand our wheat production. And is it quicker? What the heck? So that beaver, he went on the zipline over here and then walked up the stairs. Maybe that's faster for some reason. Oh, it's because we never connected this in. Now we should be able to utilize this. He was probably going all the way around and down here. We should probably also get a zipline set up so that we can go across here pretty quickly. We do have the zipline pylon. And if we made an overhang right here, then we could fit a transfer station. So let's actually remove this. Get rid of both those connections. And then get rid of this. We'll put down some dynamite. Although we actually don't even need dynamite. We can utilize the dirt blocks. We can go like this. And then we'll be able to fit in the zipline station. Let's make sure it actually can connect to everything. Looks like it reaches all that. This one can connect into this. It's only 40 degrees, not quite 50. And then we can connect that one in as well. And then now we have that path set up, and then that should make it more efficient getting around this district. And then we can also unlock the carousel for 700 science. We only have 102,000. And then we'll need to give it enough space. So that seems like a logical spot. Oh my gosh, is that flying over? Yeah, that's actually going over top these 2 buildings. And then we need to add some stairs so we can get up here, I believe. And then we can cover this part up as well. And we'll get another carousel set up. Oh, this one will need to be offset a little bit. So we can have that set right here, and then we'll get another power shaft set up. And then we can get the mud pits placed down. Those can be pretty much anywhere, so we don't need to have it necessarily right here. Although we can maximize this space right here and place that down. We just need to add in the paths. And honestly, I'm really enjoying these spiral staircases. It makes it just a little bit easier to place stuff down, and being able to turn while increasing or decreasing in elevation. So we can have that one placed here, and then we can add a second one right next to it. And after working on all that, let's go all the way back to our 5th district. We had a lot that we needed to work on the other districts, but now we can focus on these guys. We have this area that is almost set up. Ooh, we have some flooding going on. What is happening over here? I think we're just getting too much water going through here. There's not really much. Uh-oh, what's happening? Looks like there is some flooding down here. How did that happen? It probably went around. I suspect it came through this side. So let's remove these paths and these stairs, and then finally have this whole area closed off. We have some water that is pooled at the bottom, but it just evaporated. So we have this up to 0.65. These ones are also 0.65. Maybe we raise this one all the way, and then we do the same over here. That way we can have some water go through here, and then we can allow some to fill this area up as well. We might be having some flooding issues going through here once again. Looks like we did finish filling up this reservoir. We're on day 11. Those 3 pumpers are working, and then this is actually all filled up. The real question will be if this reservoir can support having this sluice open and then the one over here as well. So if we do have some water that's surging through here, One thing we can do is give it an outlet. We can have some of it go over here. So I may want to have some of these dirt blocks actually be set to dams. That way we can have a little bit of water over top instead of it basically flooding this whole area. We don't need to have a whole lot. We can probably get away with just having a couple dams. And in the meantime, we can place down a bunch of dynamite. And we just need to make sure that it's all connected. That way we can actually reach everything. But then sometimes the water is not flowing at all. This is actually kind of low. And I suspect we have a surge of water that's going to be coming through. Maybe not. But there definitely is some water coming through here. We do have a bad tide approaching in 3 days. And so what I originally wanted to do, having basically this whole little mountain green, it'll start with getting a 3x3 grid set up. Since that maximizes the water irrigation effects, we can start with placing that down, see how far it spreads, and then maybe we don't really need to add a waterfall going anywhere. We can just get away with this. And look at that, we have another water surge, but we can detonate all of this, and then we can have some of that channelized into here. But we will need to be careful because there is some bad water in here. And I think it's worth setting up a little bit of a dam. That way we don't have any of the water filling into the bad water back here. And then having that bad water over top, and then, as you can see, go into this area. I will probably need to add a bad water pump over here, because this seems like a place that the bad water can collect, and we don't really want it to be settling here. But I think part of that problem is these dams. So we'll need to replace these with some of the floodgates. Since you can see it is almost overtopping right here, and then it's going to just shove a bunch of water through this system. Thankfully we have this outlet, and so that should help mitigate some of those negative effects. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We have just a couple days left until the bad tide hits, but we are well prepared for that. And in the next episode we will continue developing this 5th district. I know that we focused on the other districts quite a bit in this episode, but now those other districts are in a better spot and we can focus on this one in the next episode. We do have this whole area set up, which is going to be excellent. Get some more green space, and then hopefully we can figure out this flooding issue, and then we can also look at expanding this little fluid dump system. It does look like it produces quite a bit of green space, but if we want to have it extend over here, we will need to set up some sort of underground tunnel system, or maybe a waterfall feature. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out some of the live streams that I've been doing. Typically Saturdays are the day that I've been doing those. So stop by and say hi if you have the opportunity. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.